Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first annual public Skulltalkers. This is
annual.
Whenever, like the first seasonal.
There we go.
The seasonal.
There it is. Man with the word.
Talk to the audience. No, public Skulltalkers. We can't steal that from the Talking Simpsons boys. Welcome. This is the first public Skulltalkers at the end of our first season. My name's Casey Green. I do the voice of Doodoo. Below me, if everyone has the same outlook on our fucking Discord, we have Cohen Edenfield, the game master.
Hey, it's me. I'm the game master, and I'm all the fun. I'm all your favorite characters who aren't the main characters.
We got Amber Carr.
Hi, I'm Amber. I do the voice of Dylan Pickleman.
True.
Beloved NPC.
No, I'm Felicity. I do Felicity.
Yeah. God damn, she got us again. And of course, Jess O'Brien, who plays Visk, the Goo Man.
Howdy, howdy. I'm also the editor. I put all the sounds and musics on there. I don't make the musics, but I put the musics in there.
Yeah, Seth makes the musics. They are not here at the moment, but we are to answer your end of season questions. Usually this is only for Patreons, which we do after every episode, and you should join if you're not. But since this is the end of the season, we're going to do something special and put it open for the public, which we did.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of questions.
We sure do. I'm excited.
Beautiful intro, Casey. You nailed it.
Thank you.
Crushed that.
Well, let's just go ahead and get to it because we got a lot of questions. Does it start here, right here with Salix? Is that what I'm looking at?
That one's from the previous episode, actually. But it's fine. We can answer it anyway.
Yeah.
All right. This is going to be for season 1 and our previous episode, which was Happy Hour, right?
Yes.
Okay.
This question is about Graveyard Shift, but that's fine too.
That's fine.
Yeah,
too.
that's part of
All
the
right.
season.
So we're just going to go in order that we see them. This one's from Salix. That's how they pronounce it, correct?
I think it's Salix.
Salix.
Yeah.
Salix, my mistake. They, them, permanent resident.
Oh, that's right. I got these things. Hang on a second. I think it's this
Waiting.
one. Damn it, it is not that one. That's the reverse air horn.
What the fuck?
It's reverse air horn?
You play it when somebody else does their air horn and they cancel each other
That really
out.
does sound like the Silent Hill air horn.
I invented it specifically for when Dan Riker got one over on me, because it's like, this is the reverse of a victory, so the opposite of an air horn plays. I'm sorry, this is permanent resident, I think.
Permanent resident. Permanent resident.
Stay a while and ask.
Stay a while.
Stay a while and question.
I forget what I said for permanent resident.
That's the only time I'm playing the long version. I made short versions. Don't worry, we're not
Don't
going to be
worry,
here
folks.
for 4 hours. It's fine.
All right, from Salix, permanent resident, they, them. Why did no one insight check the weirdo in the graveyard? Y'all wilding.
I've got an answer for this.
I just assumed that was a standard Cohen Edenfield unhelpful
100%.
NPC.
Yeah.
100%. First of all, I'm new enough at D&D that I didn't really know if I could be like, can I insight check
No,
this guy?
I can. Let me hop in there. No, you can't.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's not,
Hop in there,
that's-
Cohen.
Yeah, that's not how it works. You don't get to call. They don't get to call checks. They can try. They've tried, and I try to be pretty strict about it. But it's like there's this temptation, especially if you're coming from video games, to be like, all right, I want to use the skill in my thing, which is to do a nature check. But it's like, that's not how it works. You tell me what you're trying to do, and I'll tell you how to do it. And the truth is, they had a lot of questions about Handsome Steve, but they did not have questions like, hey, are you like an evil fucker who's going to betray us? And as a result,
The assumption is usually probably, which is why we didn't like most of the other characters you make up for us.
yeah.
Yeah, I
thought
mean,
he was
that's
just-
the thing, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of the NPCs we meet are strange fuckers. So he was not a notably strange enough fucker for us to be genuinely suspicious of him. But also, like I said, I feel like, being like, can I insight check this guy? Insect checked would have worked too.
Yeah.
That actually would have been a great check to run.
Animal handling.
Just asking that probably would have gotten a no.
Well, I would say, well, what are you looking for? That's what I do. It's like, I try to about if it's like, what are you trying to figure out? Yeah.
Is this guy a weirder freak than usual?
Yeah.
Vibe check. Then I fucking hit him with a folding chair.
Yeah.
It's also like when a guy is like, okay, this guy is like weird and half insect and has an annoying voice and doesn't seem to be saying anything helpful. Okay, that's just like a standard Skulltenders character.
Yeah, that does not move the needle for me, yeah.
He was also super helpful. He was like, oh, come this way. Oh, you got to open this gate. Like
Yeah,
he was
didn't seem
moving
totally-
things along. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also part of it too, is like Skulltenders, because it's not just a campaign for fun, but it's also a piece of media that's being created for people to listen to. Is sometimes we roll with things a little looser or a little less cautiously than you might in a home game because you want it to move at a pace that will be entertaining for the listener. And it's usually also more entertaining for the listener if you aren't overly cautious, because the danger and the tension that goes along with being caught in that way is engaging to the listener.
Yeah, also like being too tactical isn't actually fun to listen to, I think.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
it's more interesting to make silly decisions than
I would also
tactical ones.
Yeah, if you're just looking into every little thing you can see as you're playing, like, I don't know, Baldur's Gate, you're going to be stuck in the main area forever.
Yeah, look, that's why I stopped playing. Or, well, one of the reasons. Okay. But I mean, the truth. That's the truth. And also, the thing is, none of this is set in stone. If they had been super, super suspicious of him, well, no, he was not going to be. You know, he was where the zombies came from. That wasn't going to change. I already came up with that guy and did a cool drawing, so he was pretty fixed as a fucker. But you know, it all worked out in the end.
I'll insight check Horatio next time we meet him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Take him down a notch.
I'm gonna start calling checks for guys like that. I'm gonna be like, I want to get an animal handling check on this guy. And you could be like, all right, that's a human.
You're gonna have to roll really well.
Yeah, I hit a 20 to find that out.
It seems that man is the most dangerous animal of all. You should
Got
run.
him.
Who wants to ask this next one?
How about we go, I think, in clockwise picture order, I believe. And next would be Cohen.
All right.
Yes. From Chip Chasterson, Obsidian and Bone, he asks,
Locked in. Obsidian Bone. Click, click, boom. It's the sound of the series.
How dare you start asking the question before the soundbite plays? How fucking dare you?
My mistake. How dare I indeed.
You'd never make it morning radio.
God. Professionalism.
Which two Simpsons characters is Visk based on?
Oh, right. I mentioned this absolutely ages ago on a different Skulltalkers.
I feel like one of these is obvious and one I have no clue.
Yeah, one I know, the other I don't.
Somebody asked, like, what were your character inspirations? And I was saying that there was a bunch of accidental ones. Vivi Ensteiner from Final Fantasy IX, which I had not played when I made this character. But I mentioned there was two Simpsons ones that it's not going to be super obvious yet who those are. And that was before episode 4 when the Mayor Crush was introduced. So we got some Smithers in there.
So
yeah, that's the one I knew. I was like, it's
guess.
gotta be Smithers.
I was thinking
That was going to be
Smithers and
my other guess, because I know the other one is
Frank Grimes.
The other one is Frank Grimes, and you're going to see that. Yeah, you're gonna see that very overtly referenced in the next episode coming up. Actually,
That's how you got your electricity powers.
I got indulgent. But yes, that is the two Simpsons characters that I was like, oh shit, it's just those two combined. Okay, that's fine.
Doo-doos is Barney and Homer.
Oh,
These are all the barflies, except for Mo. Mo doesn't count.
Nah.
If I could go back and do it over, I would introduce more disco stew elements into my character.
Oh, yeah.
So you don't realize these things until later, unfortunately. There's always time for character growth, though. Introduce more disco stew elements as the show goes on.
Yeah. Do the cadence at least.
Yeah, I'll start talking
like
in third person. Yeah.
Yeah.
Felicity wants to have one.
Yeah, exactly.
Felicity Fairweather on the case.
All right, ask us the next one, Amber.
You got it. This one's from Monsieur Shock, an Obsidian and Bone member.
Okay, shorter version, go.
When will Visk finally get a win?
Visk got a gun.
What, last episode wasn't a win?
I was gonna say Visk gets a win in the second half of the pilot when they're the one who blows up the train.
Yeah, Visk's been getting some wins.
But Visk gets more sentimental wins as the show goes on as well, in addition to like work wins, which I think they get in the first season.
Visk got fed by the mayor. I feel like I'm being pretty nice to Visk.
That's huge.
Yeah, that's like the the max win that they could have received.
That's the
the
hugest
biggest
possible
win.
By their
win.
own metric. Like
Visk be winning.
They don't even know what else would be a win from there.
Yeah.
That's how like confused they are by this.
they've never dared to dream bigger than that. That's like
No.
wow, the most.
But I think that the secret soul of this question is that Jess is managing to play a physically powerful character who gets some wins, but is staying pretty Hugh to the kind of like the soul of the character, so to speak. So good job to Vess.
Thank you. That is sweet of you.
To Vess.
Well, that's what's interesting about Visk as a character is Visk is like, if you write it out on paper, Visk is like an incredibly martially intimidating character.
And like unlikable, I would think, if you just like write it down on paper, you know?
Sure.
But the things that you would think that would make them unlikable to like a character in universe makes them very likable to a listener.
That's just how that always works.
Because the motive comes like, or like the reasoning comes in, you know, as opposed to like just like the interactions.
Mm-hmm. I'm lucky it shook out that way. Because like for so many episodes, I was like, oh man, this guy sucks.
Nah.
Yeah, when we said early on, you'd be like, is this working? Or yes, you just keep doing, stay the course.
Crazy, but I'm being neurotic.
Folks love a dude that sucks.
Yeah, it's true.
For a recent example,
history,
Chilchuck from the Delicious in Dungeon anime.
Oh, I gotta start watching that.
People don't like Chilchuck?
No, they
Chilchuck.
do. They do, but he kind of sucks, and therefore they're like drawing him in like those jokes where it's like here's Chilchuck stuck in a glue trap.
You just don't think he sucks because he's a put upon professional.
Yeah,
he is. I have no issue with him. I like his character, but like
that's why I like Chilchuck, because I was just like, oh, he's a professional.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
about
or it's
him.
like a star in Baldur's Gate who is like an objectively annoying and grating personality, but is extremely popular because people like the way that a character like that creates interesting and funny interactions within a piece of media.
It's provocative.
Yeah, like Asterion is funny, but like I like kind of bounced off his personality.
Oh
really
yeah, it was really annoying.
Yeah, he's provocative, and that is why for something like this to work, somebody needs to be goading.
Yes.
So like generally what is going to happen is either they're on an adventure, and I'm going to throw a weird little fucker in there to just kind of poke them, just to keep things going, you know, like to keep the momentum up and to keep things mildly off balance, so nothing becomes like formulaic and rote and obvious. But if I introduce somebody who's helpful, then all of a sudden it gets turned back on me. All of a sudden I am the victim, which is why I don't introduce helpful characters like Dylan anymore.
I was about to say, I don't think you've ever introduced a helpful character before.
What about Thomas?
You have a weirder definition of help.
Yeah,
you really do.
Oh,
and how you help with
the
that
most helpful character
really...
I can think of is Hazel, and we all like Hazel.
Yeah, we all love Hazel. He's helpful as hell.
Hazel did very little.
He felt more helpful, even though he wasn't helpful.
Yeah, there's future characters I won't name yet who are also quite helpful, and I would think that we all like them.
Yeah.
And there's future characters that I think were not helpful, but we like them because they had an air of wanting to be helpful. Being team players, even though they couldn't provide anything useful.
Yeah, that's true. That too.
It's more of a vibe thing than anything else, I think. I don't know. Anyway, next question, I suppose.
Visk, you'll get a win eventually.
One day, one glorious
day.
Visk will win. But next question is from Wizard86, Obsidian and Bone.
That's Wizard96.
Wizard96.
God, how the time flies.
Oh.
Wizard97 on our Discord. Actually,
with
bumped. Gave him a bump.
When adjusted for inflation, it's all the way up to Wizard97 now.
Got to keep that in mind. Hello, Skull Tenders. My main goal of this message is primarily to get Voidburger to play the Obsidian and Bone theme again. There you go. But how did you do that? What the fuck? But as a secondary part, I would love to know more about the process between Cohen and the cast when it comes to creating the characters. The reveal that Goomans are violent demons pacified by paperwork and silver is a large surprise to the audience, but how much of this was discussed by Jess and Cohen? Yeah, that was a large surprise for me. I had to beg for a spoiler for that one.
Well, I'll tell you what it was. Visk threatened Hazel with a gun.
Yep.
And at that point I was like, wow, that's nuts. Where is that coming from? And it was such a defining character moment that it caused me to rethink Goomans. And I was like, that is wild. Wait, what? And then I really started, because like originally, I'm a little bit more backstory for bringing in on this, just like a little, like originally, like the idea was like, I think that I pitched to you, Jess, was like that they were like more of like just like a caretaker thing, that they were just like around and like maintaining
Yeah.
the afterlife.
Custodians.
Yeah, exactly. And that was cool for a minute, and then it was like, well, what would really put some sizzle on this steak is actually if they were bad. What if they were bad? What if they, not bad. You did have to remind me that demon has a negative connotation, because I'm so anime pilled that I was like, yeah, they're demons.
Demons, which are sick and cool. Yeah.
Jesus.
Demons kick ass. And you like literally sent me the dictionary definition like screenshot for
Yes.
demon. I was like,
You were over here. You were
told me
over
this.
here insisting that demon is a neutral term, and I'm just like, what fucking planet are you from?
Cohen told me that afterward. Like, Jess sent me the definition of demon. I was like, well, Jess is right. That's why I'm saying it like I am in character. That's what I'm implying.
This is the most homeschooled you have ever sounded to me. I went to Catholic school for 13 fucking years, and you're over here smugly telling me
I just think
that demons are neutral, and I'm like, what the fuck are you saying?
in the original Japanese, it actually just means like outsider, foreigner.
That's wonderful.
I don't know that.
The Japanese you can definitely pronounce really well.
The original Japanese that we all speak.
the unxenophobic culture of Japan thinks outsiders are demons. That's fun.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Well, the truth is, this is factoring into the fact that Skulltenders is extremely anime inspired. Like,
Yes. It was either going to be like anime or it was going to be like a Dickens novel. Because those are the two who do serialized literature, the storytelling the best.
Oh, yeah, I remember you were like, yeah, Dickens is up there with anime. It's like...
He is, when it comes to that, but Dickens doesn't have as much fights. And I knew we were going to have a lot of fights. So anime it is. Also, that's just me. That's just me.
But, but yeah, I had to, I think because of the Hazel situation, which kind of like, had amongst the cast like more of a recoil reaction than I thought it would. I just thought like, oh, this person who has had zero agency or power in their entire lives gets a gun. What do you think's going to happen? Like,
that's what I wanted to find out. I was delighted with the result. I was like, dark.
Let's find out. And also, like, I've got this like fucking +5 intimidation sitting here on this sheet, glaring me in the face, being like, "You should lean into this." I'm just like, maybe I should lean into this.
This tells all the other Goomen, don't come into work tomorrow.
God, shit. But like I was surprised at how heavily that was balked at and confused. Like, for those of you on the $25 tier, you can check out the deleted scenes of that scene, because we actually
yeah, you really had to fight for that scene.
we redid that one like 3 times because Cohen was just like, "What the fuck is happening?"
You were playing it in a way where I was like, you were going to lose the audience with like, I get what you're trying to do, but this is a heel turn. This is the most beloved character on the show. Like, I could tell already. I was like, people are really gonna like Hazel, I think.
No trust for me.
Tell you what, I really like Hazel, and I was like,
that's really what it is. Yeah,
It was specifically that you had like maneuvered to be alone. It was like a premeditation. That was like, I was like, this is frightening. But I
had 3 weeks to think about how to pull this off. We had a 3-week gap where I was like, I really want to use this gun without shooting it. Wait, I have a +5 intimidation. Oh, people do that all the time with guns. They just wave around and threaten people. What if I do that?
Okay, I'm gonna ask that we move on from using a gun to intimidate people.
And in terms of creating the characters process between me and the cast, we're trying to thread a needle here, right? We're trying to thread a needle between like, there's a world and backstory that is informed by the choices that the players make, and those choices go backwards in time as well. They do things, and then I change things in the backstory to like accommodate. Like now Goomans are demons because it's cool. Because Jess showed me how cool that could be. It's like, oh, what if there was a bad guy? What if one of them was a bad guy, and thus syrup?
But I had to like I forget what thing kind of unmoored me that I was like, Cohen, you have to tell me more about Gooman. I don't know how to play a character. If you know about this race and I don't, I need to know those things.
The big
and
thing
I convinced Cohen by bringing up Deep Space Nine. If anyone has watched Star Trek Deep Space Nine,
there's a character gets a. I don't want to spoil it. It's an old show, but there's a character who has something revealed about their back. This happens actually more than once in DS9.
More than once to the same fucking guy.
I really like DS9, so sorry. I guess that did get it. But similarly, I kind of a similar thing happened with Felicity that happened with Visk, where there was this version. There was this vision of the character that was like, oh, they've got all this stuff, and they've got all this, like, know-how and smarts and all that, and then it immediately was like, God, that really is gonna... I'm... Like, Felicity was maybe not gonna have no memories, initially, of her past life.
Yeah,
and
she knew more stuff originally.
But then it kind of, like... Without giving away too much, I think the idea of reinvention is very interesting.
Yeah, it made for a better show in the long run to actually strip some of that stuff away.
And Dudu
is a perfect soul.
Yeah, Dudu's like,
yeah,
pretty much.
No notes.
I have some like big, broad, long distance ideas for stuff that could happen with Dudu that I will probably talk to Casey about at some point. But it's also like, I think we got enough plates spinning at the moment. It's kind of like cool to have a guy who's just vibing.
I really like, this doesn't spoil anything like super important, but it's something we discussed later in like a piece of Patreon media where Casey described, we were like talking about how the characters evolved. And Casey was like, so I originally conceived Dudu as like a hero for the common man, but really is more like a friendly dog. I really enjoyed that like summation of the character's evolution. I thought that was like a really great succinct way to describe like...
Dogs will help if they want to.
Yeah, well, it was a great way to lay out like the kinds of things you write for a tabletop character versus how the character evolves in your hands and in like the game space.
Yeah.
I thought it was like a really great microcosm of how that happens. Mm-hmm. But anyway, let's go on to the next one before we
I didn't finish my tiny little thought. I had a tiny little thought.
Go ahead.
But what I was saying about the Star Trek DS9 character is that character had a bunch of secret shit going on that the actor did not know about until it got dropped on the show. And the actor was like, I would have played the character differently if you told me that was happening. And now low-key I'm pissed off because I feel like my performance sucks now. Mm-hmm. So like I had to bring that up to Cohen and be like, fucking pretty please, can you tell me what's going on with these goo guys? I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, and you were absolutely right. I think that what that really comes down to is it's this idea of it's a tempting idea that if you put performers in a more realistic version of the situation that you're trying to create in fiction by denying them information, that they will somehow independently achieve a more naturalistic performance that is like more real. But that's showing a profound lack of trust, really, in your collaborators. So instead, it's better to just try to figure out what the happy medium of like, I do want to preserve excitement and fun and novelty for y'all, but I also want to trust y'all.
Yeah.
So to, have the performances and come to the things. And it's also fun to collaborate with y'all. So
yeah,
in the making of that stuff and not just keep everything to myself, because sometimes I forget stuff like that. People think demons are bad.
All right, next question.
Yeah, next question from Roland Rawhide, They, Them, Obsidian, and Bone.
Locked in City Bone.
So breezy now.
Someday I won't laugh at it, but not today.
Players, are there any character choices, big or small, that you made in the past season that you would do differently now? And Cohen, were there any encounters you had prepared that the players missed or actively ignored that you wish they wouldn't have if you...
Let's get to the rest later. We'll get to the rest.
Okay.
It's a long
players, character choices, big or small, you made in the past season, you do differently now. Personally, I can't think of any.
Not really, honestly. Because it's like, I've talked about this in previous Skulltalkers if you're a patron, but like, I feel like part of doing tabletop is finding the character in the process of playing them. And so a lot of the times it's kind of just like, if the chips fall, the chips fall. And like, that's kind of how I figure out my character more than being like, oh, I wish I did this. But also like, we are a pre-recorded show. So like, I've picked up little things here and there.
Mm-hmm. I don't regret any actions, really. I do wish that I didn't make Visk indigo blue.
What color would you have made Fez?
Why not?
Either, yeah, I only went with blue because when I saw plasmoids, I was like, oh, they're blue, and I didn't double think that. I don't know why. I was just like, oh, they just are. If I had known that they were so connected to the Soul River, which is green, I might have made it like an off green color, like a gray green or something.
It's honestly better because then when we do the animated series, it'll be easier to see Visk in the river.
I guess so.
That's true. Yeah, exactly. When they do the live action Netflix adaptation of the animated series, it'll be much easier to see the CGI.
Mm-hmm. Can there be FMV sequences in this, like real actors?
Yes.
Like green screen.
For the mayor.
Okay. He'll be stop motion.
Only for the most difficult.
I was thinking the mayor's like stop motion and everybody else is animated.
Yeah. Mm. That sounds good.
It's like claymation.
Duda wouldn't do anything differently. But Cullen, were there any encounters you had prepared that we missed or actively ignored that you wish they wouldn't have?
Let me see. Encounters. I did think about this one. Let me see. If it's encounters, is that we're talking specifically about combat? Probably.
I don't know. It doesn't really specify.
Encounters seems like it's like random encounters. I gotta assume.
I think it's just really just any kind of combat or engagement with an NPC that we missed.
Not to give away a next episode, but there was an NPC you had made that we all just said no to, and then it ended up being.
You will know exactly who Casey is talking about.
I think it's in 2 episodes, but yeah,
and then it ended up being very. It didn't end up being very helpful. So that happened, but we did eventually come back to you. So I think either helpful NPC or like a combat encounter.
All right. Well, so this is interesting. So there are definitely some episodes where it's like that was not really an option to avoid because like say your midnight special, your pilot is like what it's like. Yeah, they're on a train. It's like y'all are gonna see the stuff on the train. You're gonna progress forward. Same with Edge of Dawn. Where it really gets fun, got fun, those Heads Will Roll or High Noon, where it's like there's a lot of different stuff. Like there's a lot of part 2 of High Noon in particular. All of the NPCs that y'all had seen walking around were people. Like there were people where I was like, I'm gonna keep mentioning these in case this is who you decide to go make to recruit or something. Where there's a couple of references to the you find the body of the bullman cowboy in the morgue, but then there's like a couple of other bullmen walking around. One of them has they have black armbands on to show that they're in mourning, and it's like that's somebody you could have talked to, could have roped them in. I think I even had names for them. I'm gonna look that up real quick.
It's like the only other Catalan so far is there too. It's like one of the people wandering around.
The school marm.
Yeah, she seemed busy though.
Oh man.
Did she perish with the pickles? I forget if she was one of the people that died in the
the name.
Ambiguous.
I think that she did. I think she died. Yes,
I think she might have died. Yeah.
The names of the cowboys were Jesse and Bessie, and the one who died was their brother Messi.
Jesse, Bessie, and Messi. Perfect.
Yeah. So
Fuck off.
Yeah. Well. Here's, take me take me or leave me.
Good thing we didn't talk to them.
Yeah, or it's like, a lot of the times I'm just throwing a lot of stuff out there and it's like, all right, we're going to see how this goes. I often forget what my plans for how things could have gone in the third act are because it's not what happened, and so it's not important anymore. But I would say in this next arc that's coming up, stay tuned, it's going to be even more of I'm gonna put some stuff out there. Y'all can choose to engage with it or not. Stay tuned. Question from Skelly, Obsidian, and Bone.
Locked in City Bone.
I always wait for me to say click, click, boom, and it hurts my heart when it does. Anyway,
short one.
For everyone, any strong feelings about the 5th edition D&D system at the end of this season?
Not a one.
Yeah, I honestly quite like it. I know that there's a lot of people on the internet who do not like it because it's very combat oriented and it's very complicated. But when you're doing a procedural that's essentially a bounty hunting procedural, that's what Skulltalkers sort of is.
Yeah.
At its heart. The fact that it's combat focused is not really a problem because it's inherent to how the story is going to progress. And I kind of like a little crunch personally to my systems. I was taught originally on Powered by the Apocalypse systems, which are very much more simpler and more improv centric. And I found myself in a situation where it was like, okay, 2 or 3 sessions in, I have like solved the optimal way to play this character. Like the mechanics drastically incentivize me doing this thing. And that, you know, if you're somebody who's only there for role play and the mechanics are just there to support that, that's probably not a problem for you. For like me, I really like that D&D is a little bit more constrained in a way that makes it so that it's not just like I'm a problem that I solve quickly. It's like, okay, there's a lot of things and I now understand very deeply what they can do and how I could interact with them in a way I didn't at the beginning of the season. But I did like, I don't feel like I've beat it. And I also think that like when I accomplish something in the game, the fact that it was constrained by the constraints of the system makes it feel a little bit more valuable to me. If you can do anything, nothing really matters.
Yeah. I do like to have like some constraints on what you can do, but I think a reason that, you know, the system appeals to all of us is that we are all like video game pilled. And I think like that kind of just like works well with how our brains are set up in general.
Yeah, I like mechanics because that's my background.
Yeah, and like I'm not a big like strategy brained person or anything like that. Like I've played like Civ and stuff like that, but it's just like I don't try to like metagame and like do the most like efficient possible move I could have done or anything like that. And I would understand why people who are not focused or minded in that way would find this system a lot more restraining than if it was some other system. But I think the only complaint I've had for reals with this system is during the level ups, I'm just really confused about like what numbers go up? Fucking why? Okay. Level 3 spells are not things you get at level 3, whatever.
No, because there's 20 levels.
Yeah,
There's
I don't know.
Great. Well, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm
exactly.
your helpful DM.
And that's the only complaint I have is that it's not intuitive to like you need a proctor to level up.
Yeah, I have to say like I've definitely felt the same way until I like got and read the player's handbook front to back.
Right, yeah.
It is a system that works well once you know it.
Right.
Yeah,
yes.
And that's
absolutely.
the thing. And it's like I've heard that kind of thing and rolled my eyes at it about other things, but ultimately it's like this is not it's D&D is combat oriented, and that's why you guys don't fight groups of. It's combat oriented, but I don't necessarily think that a lot of combat is conducive to a fun show.
Yeah,
like,
you're very good with knowing that and like applying it because, like, yeah, if we wanted to, the combat could go for ages, but
and it will.
you see clever things happening, and you give us like an out.
Well.
Very easily. If we're like not feeling the combat, we're trying to do something clever to get out of it or something like that, you will notice we're doing that and like allow it to happen. So it's really like up to the DM how combat oriented this actually does end up being.
Yeah, that's what I like to do.
Oh yeah. You guys make that a lot more fun because the truth is it's like it is a system. D&D is a system of problems. It is a system of presenting you problems and saying, okay, you have those tools in your set. How are you going to approach this? Some of those are social tools, some of those are combat tools, some of those are magic, some of them are mundane. Sometimes you can be clever in a way that has nothing to do with like the actual literal on crunch abilities. And I think there's a way to play D&D where it is a tactical RPG. It is or like a, you know what I mean, like your Final Fantasy Tactics type.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate 3 is a great example of that.
And it's just fighting like 7 or 8 guards. I can see it like that's great for a single player experience, and I'm sure it's great for a lot of tables. It was in my first DM. We were all grad students, and we would always go, okay, this is our one day to play, so we'll play for 5 hours. And that really soured me on that. It really soured me on like the endless, like sitting down and being like, okay, there's an endless amount of content. There's an endless amount of like we will never get through everything that's here, so nothing feels like progress, and we're going to fight 17 guys, guard A to guard whatever, Q. And I'm so tired of this. But that's, it doesn't have to be all combat and skill checks. It's just...
And, at the end of the day, this is a show, and we want other people to listen to it, so we're not going to do that.
And, Yeah. I bet you 7 guards feels better if you have a grid. You're like one of
that's
those
what I'm
people that
saying,
plays
like on a
with
map.
like
Yeah.
miniatures, and it's more like a war game. But
but
if you're
even
doing
then-
theater of the mind,
Yeah. It's worth mentioning that we are not playing in that way.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have any visual aids going on when we're playing, FYI.
no, we get our visual aids afterward when Casey
Yes.
posts his doodles.
And fun detail, I do not post, like, the maps that I post on Maps and Mandibles and stuff, the players do not see those, because if I show them those, I will rely on the maps, and then I will not, if I can know that my little map, that they can just look at the map and see where they're on the map and see how things are relative to each other, I can't be certain that I'm conveying that to the audience. So that is another reason we don't do that. Also, it would be more work for me.
Yeah. It's also limiting because, like, what if someone does something cool, but technically you need 60 feet to do that? Oh, too bad we can't do the cool thing now. Like,
I'm pretty good about distances. That is something
yeah.
I keep. I on the map, I actually do track your relative positions to each other, but I'll fudge it for fun or
Yeah. For
generally.
story
Yeah.
reasons, yeah. For
But it's
flow.
like, oh, they're this way away. Okay, that's too far. A lot of it just comes down to I know how far away things are relatively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not as granular.
Let's move on to that next question. Amber,
All right.
you.
Okay. An edgelord, an Obsidian Bone member, he asks.
Locked in city.
That's right. If the main cast and recurring characters were magic cards, what colors would they be? Bonus points for what their rules will be.
Skip.
I'm not going to
Casey.
get
Skip question. Skip.
Just skip it. What?
No,
Skip.
no.
Two
we're gonna-
votes. Skip. Two
we're gonna-
votes. Go. What do
two
we
votes
do?
go. Ah.
Tiebreaker. Tiebreaker.
Who's the
Where's
DM?
Seth? Where's Seth?
Let's say, we'll ask the DM.
I'll tell you what. We'll limit it to the main. We'll limit it to the main
Damn,
cast.
there is a power imbalance.
We'll do the main cast colors
Well,
because
main cast
we're probably
quick.
going to jawbone this later.
Yeah, main cast
Yeah.
real quick though, just for the answer. Amber, you take it. You asked, you take it.
Yeah,
know
you
this.
got it. Main cast, Felicity is black-white. Visk is white-blue. Doo-doo is red-green. The mayor is a card like Kenrith that is black but has an activated ability of every other color.
Yeah,
Damn.
except
Next
for
question.
except for green. Except for green.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
All right. Next one. Jess, it's you.
I lost my place immediately. Paul, who's new in town, and we don't have a soundbite yet for new in town
We
because
do. It's like new in town. Stay a while and ask.
no, that's permanent resident, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, it's permanent resident.
All right. Well, then I'll draw
New in
something.
town doesn't get the Skulltalkers.
Yeah, they don't get Skulltalkers, so they don't have one of those.
I will
Yeah,
drop
Yeah.
one right now off the dome so that we have
That's
one
fine.
for this.
yeah.
You're new in town. You just died. Ask away. Ask away.
Okay.
Thank you. That's all I got.
So, we saw drunk Visk. What are Dudu and Felicity like when drunk?
Dude's always drunk.
I was going to say, Doo-Doo and Felicity are probably much heavier drinkers traditionally than Visk is. So probably like
Oh, of course, yeah.
similar to what you're getting, but Felicity is more approachable, and Doo-Doo is actually probably exactly the same.
I feel like Doo-Doo is buzzed by like 1:30
Mm-hmm.
in the afternoon. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, well,
You saw Dudu sober. Well, that was the last episode we just recorded.
Doo-Doo gets
so
like
it doesn't-
essence of 1.5 beers as like a passive at all times.
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah. I got a good buzz going all the time. I mean, Dudu does.
Yeah, like I think if anything, the question would be like, what does Doo-Doo like when he's sober? And I guess you could probably say graveyard shift.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
A little
Yeah.
angry. A little tired.
A little cranky.
Planchette is indistinguishable. Planchette is like one of that kind of wine mom where it's like you cannot predict. And she could be cold sober. She could be blowing a 3.0.
Could you imagine drinking with Planchette? What a great person to drink with.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
It's just drinking with my mom.
Yeah, it's
She's fun to drink with.
Could you imagine drinking with Jess's mom? What a
Yeah.
great person to drink.
Yeah.
She's fun.
I've had a drink with Jess's mom before. She's fun. I have.
You have?
Sorry. No.
No, yeah. I was like, what?
I can't do this. She's credulous.
It'd be a fun thing to stop and just be like, next question. Anyway.
I was thinking like she would love you though.
Oh.
Anyway, next question. I'll get this one. Kaleidoscope's 12. They, them, obsidian and bone.
Locked in city. Whoa.
Okay. Jess. Hey, Jess, loving the audio mix. I keep catching fun new audio gags each time I listen. What has been your favorite joke you've worked into sound mixing of season 1?
I want answers from everyone, but start with Jess.
Okay.
It's the squeepoo, man. It's the motherfucking squeepoo. Squeepoo is like my favorite sound effect of all time. When I hear it in a show, I do the Leonardo DiCaprio pointing gif every fucking time. They cannot hide it from me. They can slow it down. They can speed it up. They can put it way in the background. I noticed this motherfucker, and it's fucking Squeepoo. And I was like, I'm going to try really hard to put Squeepoo in like every episode. And I think I might have gotten away with it so far.
This is a good show for that, honestly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things, a lot of greats opening.
Yeah, it's the sound of the great opening under Visk in the green room, and a couple other things here and there that are
it is.
metallic or hingy. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Squeepoo. Yeah. There's also a fun sound that I initially was determined to put it in every episode, but then I realized like, nah, that's too hard. And it's just a sound effect called Capri Sun being cast down. And for some reason, there's like 5 of them.
I have this screenshot of just being like working really hard on the first edit for the first episode, like when we just started. And it's an image of like Jess's computer, and the folder that is open has 7 files on the screen, and it's Capri Sun being cast down 1, Capri Sun being cast down 2, all the way up to 7. And then a second image is like really nailed it now, and it's Ouya, the like forgotten video game console, Ouya.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
like,
Ouya.
Ouya rolling across ground 1 through 4.
Yeah, for some reason, this guy found an Ouya and was like, I'm going to Foley myself throwing this Ouya at the fucking floor. I think I've used that once, actually, in something. That might have been in Strung Up. There's an Ouya being
It's just like
chucked at the floor.
It's like a cube, isn't it? An Ouya?
I think it's a controller of the Ouya, technically.
We should be speaking in the past tense, right? This is a
Yeah, rest in peace.
this is a fallen soldier.
Yeah, that was the last one, and the guy made a pretty good Foley mix out of it.
It's like an
Yeah.
Office Space.
Finally, a use for the Ouya.
I'm happy, if we're going to talk about other ones, I'm happy that the Hanna-Barbera sound effects I've downloaded years ago is finally getting some regular usage through Jess and Doodoo.
Yeah, what a treasure trove. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
There's a goddamn shitload of sounds in
It's
there.
an official like CD rip of like a 6 thing a CD that I guess Hanna-Barbera officially put out years ago, and it's still fucking solid. And I just going through it is like, I remember that one. I know that one. Oh, I know this one. It's so fucking fascinating because it's very high quality too.
Yeah. It's also just really interesting to listen to those because you can hear the quality of like a 1950s microphone and how big the room was and how echoic the room was, like reverby the room was that they were doing this in. And then it's like, oh my God, but yeah, it does sound like that in Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
It does sound like it's taking place in like a big soundstage.
That's the classic Jetsons little boop, 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 boop.
All the like little blinky noises and stuff like that. It's like, fuck yes,
Yeah.
these rule. I also like occasionally throwing in other cartoon sound effects for Doodoo. He's had a small handful of anime noises happen because of him, and also SpongeBob shoes have happened, but not with
I heard that in
Doodoo
a later. I heard that in a later episode. I just heard like the squishing shoes of either SpongeBob or it sounded like Dee Dee from Dexter's Lab.
I like, this isn't like so much a specific example as is like a technique, I suppose, but every time we get like a backing audio hard cut for a joke, makes me laugh every time. It's like a full cut of like whatever backing music is happening. And there's 2 kinds. Jess will either like do like a wow, or it'll just be like a hard full cut the reverb, cut everything. It just like cuts out. And they're both very funny in their own way to me. I really enjoy that kind of like technique.
It's a really easy and fun trick that I try not to do too much because people get fed up with me.
It feels, but when you use it sparingly, it feels so good.
Yeah, but like sometimes there's simply just like, oh, this is a cutaway gag.
Yes.
I'm going to treat it like it's a fucking TV show, and we're going to like cut away to a totally different place, like. Whew, like there's actually like a camera whoosh somewhere to like, there's a recent one where like Cert was doing something in some other fucking location. It's like whoosh.
I was doing Sudokus.
Yeah. Doing Sudokus, yes. It's like, well, we're obviously going to cut all the way away from the river, the sounds of the forest, and it's just like back to like the hum of some fluorescent lights and all that stuff. And that shit's
Good
fun.
shit. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
I want to say my favorite sound mixing joke has got to be when Hazel like strolls in real fast. And I say he like strides in, and I'm like, that's a little cavalier. And then you do the footsteps really quick, and then you do them slowly and more respectfully. On the revision, that was good shit.
Oh, thank you for noticing.
Okay. What loony... this is from Splooty, Obsidian and Bone. He asks, what Looney Tunes...
Damn it! I had the wrong one selected.
Sweet.
God damn it.
Humbling after that last question.
Yeah. I deserve that one.
What Looney Tunes character would each character get in an online personality quiz? Main cast, but plus Mayor and Planchette. Now this is not a what would yours. This is, I feel like this is a group question. We need to come to a group consensus on each character.
Okay. Yeah.
Visk is Marvin the Martian.
I was gonna say Marvin the Martian, but I was like, it's been a while since I've seen one of those. Is he neurotic enough? Is Visk neurotic enough to be Marvin the Martian?
He's very driven.
Yeah.
He
can be, but he's more driven than anything. But like, given the if you want to go deeper from Looney Tunes into say like the Duck Dodgers show, where Marvin was more of a character, he is very neurotic because he had a hot queen to succumb to. He had a hot
sounds
boss.
like a thing. Yeah,
he had
okay.
a hot boss
Okay,
to
okay.
succumb
Very
to.
much like
He
this.
had a hot boss.
Duck Dodgers hot.
That's gotta be it. Yeah, that's gotta be it.
I'm just already there. Why does she has like an Egyptian vibe? That's interesting.
Yeah, it's Queen Tyranny.
Oh, that's a good joke.
There you go. Yeah. I was gonna like, before hearing that perfect answer, I was like, is there some sort of like Daffy DNA in here, in that like they like pratfall a lot, like sort of like they fail at things? I don't know.
I mean, a little
like
bit.
kind of like butt of a joke thing.
His queen was pretty bad though.
Of course. Marvin.
Sorry, I just got it up on Google.
I also did that.
Marvin can be pretty can fuck up often too. Not in a Daffy way. Not in the late 90s Daffy way, let's say.
Right.
I think Marvin's pretty good for you. I would say Foghorn Leghorn is the closest for Doodoo, but Foghorn's more mean, whereas Doodoo's not. So it's like an in between Foghorn and Tasmanian Devil.
Yeah, that's scams.
Yeah.
If Taz was stupider and cooler. So, like Taz's dad from fucking Tasmania.
Yeah, I was about to say,
It was
literally,
Bing Crosby.
like, pick one of the also ran Taz's.
Felicity, you definitely have a Bugs Bunny vibe.
That makes sense.
A Bugs Bunny like attitude with a little bit of Porky Pig in there. He's a good everyman.
One of those episodes where Bugs is not like stay winning. You know what I mean? Like where he's sort of like
the Gremlins
Bugs
or the turtle.
cutting off your Florida.
Yeah, Bugs isn't the butt of the joke often, but there are some where he is, and that's probably closer to Felicity's vibe. Because
Frustration.
Felicity
He gets frustrated.
Exactly.
Yeah. There's a couple of good ones where he gets super frustrated.
Like, I was going to say that if you're going to say anyone's Bugs, I was going to say it was the mayor, because Bugs has, like, an uncanny command of a situation.
I was going to say because he's like a trickster god.
So, yeah, and so, yeah,
I was
of course.
actually going to say the Roadrunner for the mayor.
Oh, well, sure.
But maybe, well, just like...
Does that mean Wile E. Coyote is Visk? I don't know.
Oh.
You could be a good Wile E. Coyote. He's always trying, and he's always failing.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's like, the Roadrunner is like the only... I don't know. Roadrunner... Who's that mean... Who's the chicken hawk is definitely Planchette.
Oh.
Yes. I think that character is just called the Chicken Hawk.
Yeah.
He's trying to eat Foghorn Leghorn, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good joke.
I think that's his name. I can see Bugs Bunny as the mayor, but when he's winning, like normal
Right,
Bugs Bunny.
yeah.
Felicity, you go between normal and frustrated Bugs with a little bit of like Daffy's late 90s Daffy fucking confidence.
Yeah, I've seen a picture not long ago of Sylvester the cat where he's smoking like 5 cigarettes simultaneously and he's drinking a shaking cup of coffee, and it's like after he's failed.
Yeah.
And I posted that was Felicity.
That's a pretty good Felicity too. And that's a specific Sylvester when he's with Porky and he's always the aggrieved party in like the cartoon.
Yes.
Like he's not really after Tweety, but when he's like, with Porky and he's always like the one who sees the ghosts in the house or whatever.
Next question.
Next question, that is Amber. I think it's you.
All right. Question is from Tuxedo Ted, new in town.
Stay a while.
was hoping you would just do it.
Come on down. It's new in town.
New in town.
To Visk, who do you think dresses better, Dudu or Felicity? Felicity has quite the sense of style, but you can't discount Dudu's choices when it comes to practicality and comfort. Also, do you plan on expanding your own wardrobe now that you have a little more personal agency? Love the show and thank you all for everything.
Shout out for addressing this to Visk.
Yeah, I was going to
He's
say.
a character. It's a fascinating way to ask this.
What an interesting way to.
Dear Santa. No, it's cute.
I like it.
I don't think Visk pays any fucking attention to anyone's attire that they're not already attracted to. But I think Dudu's, like, they appreciate Dudu's more because it does seem like more functional, perhaps.
Yeah. Visk is not like aesthetically minded. I don't think.
No,
but
they
like,
don't
they're definitely
really,
practically minded.
Yeah.
This is an interesting question. It's something we get into a little later, and we kind of got into the weapons, and it may stay tuned. But it is a question of like there is kind of a cartoon character type situation of like, well, these are your clothes. This is what you get. I don't want to describe it every time. But
I liked establishing that earlier. That was like Felicity always ends up in the same clothes in the land of the living, no matter what she's wearing otherwise. Which like creates like an extremely cartoon character type. Like,
yeah, I figure when we're dead, we just have to. Yeah, we're stuck in that kind of that hole for a while.
yeah,
Unless we want to put on something funny.
A lot of it's like the Matrix. It's residual self-image,
right,
or whatever.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if this will expand their wardrobe. I have not thought of it, actually. So.
Literally, in the next episode, you put on a fun outfit.
No, I mean like in a personal style, off hours,
right,
non-work environment.
Try
sort
a bow
of
tie.
way.
I think it would be fun if this started to pick up a Dudu sense of aesthetic and had like a huge pair of basketball shorts.
I had like a slight idea in my head of like like similar to how like if you're living with a roommate, you might like your laundry gets mixed up and stuff like that, and so we'll just see Visk in like a way too oversized like sports jersey at some point.
That's perfect because Dudu should start wearing like that kind of like airbrushed cartoon gangster shirt, like with SpongeBob holding money and going. Yeah.
Oh, I was
Taz.
just thinking about
any of the Looney Tunes.
that for the show.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
Just show up in that one day being like, my laundry is not done.
Mine is, and he's just like he's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Dude is in the most nicest outfit he's got somehow.
It's one of the tuxes from Dumb and Dumber.
I love the idea of Visk in the huge basketball shorts because it's like, what are you covering up? You don't wear pants normally.
Yeah.
We've got Donald Duck rules going on there with Visk.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're Porky Pigging it.
That's the simple fact of it. It's like the more we call attention to what Visk is or isn't wearing, the more it's like we create the context in which that's uncomfortable. If we don't spend a lot of time thinking about it, then it's fine.
Even when like Donald Duck was in a uniform for like the like propaganda films of the 40s, he still didn't have pants on. No pants. No pants. Okay, so I was up to Honey Baked Ham. No, just Honey Baked on Twitter. He asks if you had rolled better for Visk eating the hyena mayor's omelet, do you think they would have been sustained by the secret ingredient, love? Or perhaps the good vibes of getting a breakfast made for them. I think it was always, for me, mentally, on the table that at any point, whenever Visk was trying to eat something, they could roll for it to be something that they figured out how to taste finally. And it was only when we were told a little bit ahead of time, like, oh, happy hour is going to happen and we're going to go to a restaurant with the mayor. I was like, oh, this is when. This is when this happened. That's
go,
way better.
People. Let's go.
Let's fucking move.
We all leave our football huddle that we do before we record. We all slam our helmets together.
Yeah, team prayer before we start.
Yeah.
That was a hell of a question. Can you feed me? That really, I feel like there's probably a longer pause. Like that, we actually had to put the Patreon thing ad right there because I paused for an entire 3 minutes.
It fit perfectly. Yeah.
Not me on that.
Yeah, that was unedited.
Yeah, just like we had to cut to Seth. But like the truth, I mean, like, yeah. I mean, what is sustenance? What is it to be sustained?
Yeah, right.
Do you mean
Emotionally,
like-
physically, all the, these are all questions Visk has never had to think about, and probably if they tried, wouldn't have been able to because of the silver, So this is all redefining everything.
You speak of the silver on City Hall.
The silver on City Hall.
Another what kind of thing where I was like, oh, that's why the building's silver.
Yeah,
pretty late.
I remember you. It was like we were waiting. I think it was when we were waiting to watch Ghost Watch, and it was like you and Miko and Jess had not gotten to the chat yet. And you're like, I can't figure out why the building's silver. Why is the building? I was like, is it keeping them in or out? And you're, okay, shut up. I think I figured it out. We're not discussing this anymore. I was like, okay.
Everyone, shut up.
I was like, all right.
Yeah, it's like why I don't. This doesn't get calories. This does not is not sustained on calories.
Mm-hmm.
And he's looking good.
Yeah, I think that would be kind of like putting a lighter fluid into a jet engine. You know what I mean? It's just like this is not running on meat.
Mm-hmm.
But good vibes. Who's to say? Things are a little loosey goosey in the afterlife. I don't know.
Love ain't meat.
Yeah, I think if the roll went better, maybe Viz could have been like, "Oh, food, I get it now." But thank God I rolled like shit, and it sounded like an old paper shredder from the 80s.
I mean, that was the funnier thing.
Yeah.
I really liked that. It was very funny. Honestly.
It was way funnier that it didn't happen, and then it's like way better narratively that led to the mayor feeding them situation. That's just way more. It's way more interesting. That's fun.
Oh man, I think, was I the only person who knew that you were going to ask that beforehand? Because you mentioned it to me.
Yeah, I mentioned it to you.
I did not know.
I could have swore I slightly ran it ahead of you, Cohen.
Nope.
I looked away from the screen when I knew Jess was winding up to it because Jess had told me that she was going to ask that. So I just was like, I leaned away and look away.
Oh, the feed me?
Mm-hmm.
I see.
I did want to spring it on Cohen because as a player, you don't get the opportunity to do that as much as the DM gets to do it to you,
No.
Yeah.
And it was this is happy hour, so we can talk a little bit about it briefly. How sort of the format. I talked about it a little bit in Maps and Manuals, but I did come to y'all and hey, I'm basically going to give y'all free reign to ask a bunch of questions. Just have a conversation that is not going to be the traditional style of conversation it is with the mayor, where I sort of do not have to know everything because I can just sort of get you all out of the scene. It's like, all right, you get this many questions and now it's off to the races. He's back to the framing device. That's how you keep a character like that interesting, is you don't make them hyper accessible. But it was kind of a cheat. But in this one, I was like, no, I need to know what all this stuff is. We're at this point in the show. It was like enough episodes had passed that I was like, okay, let's get things cohesive. Let's make things work. Let's make sure everything actually makes sense, and all the backstory and rules and all that is not actually that important to the day by day of the show, but makes things more fun. All that to say, you guys hit me with a couple of questions before, and I was able to kind of be like, all right, I know these I know this stuff. I know these will be the topics, and I had some stuff, and I was able to spit out. But I think Jess, you want to mention? I see it highlighted there. Do you want to mention it?
Oh yeah,
it's actually not a bad one to roll into this question if you want to say it.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I wanted to mention that Happy Hour was the first episode that we had our webcams on for.
Not me,
and
though.
that's fucking insane. That's fucking
we
insane.
really fought tooth and nail for that one. That was definitely worth it. It was, when I realized that was truly worth it was when the mayor time stops, and without saying, it's not like we agreed on it. We didn't know it was going to happen. Casey and I both freezed in real life.
Yeah, it was cute.
Simultaneously.
It was really cute.
I didn't have my camera on for this one though. I was still resisting. So let me tell you, you'll know a little band called REM. Maybe you've heard of it.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. So when REM was first getting going, Michael Stipe was so uncomfortable performing in front of people that he would have to, when they would rehearse, he would sing in the hallway. His mic, the band would be in a room, and he was out in the hallway with his mic. And I get it. It's a big part of this for me was just like, yeah, y'all wanted this real bad. I needed to work up to it. it turns out.
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
previously.
I don't
Go ahead, Jess.
begrudge you for that or anything. Sorry. I don't blame you. I understand stage fright and stuff like that, so it makes sense. But it was slightly not getting in the way of our performances, because I still think we've been doing an incredible job, obviously. But it's like, oh, how much like more would it be if we took the fucking training weights off and now we have webcams to look at each other with and stuff? Anyway, go ahead, Amber. I didn't mean to interrupt.
I was going to say that during the time that we were recording Skulltenders, like early on, I also had done a guest spot on a friend's podcast, Forgotten Paths, which was a pleasure playing with Edward Spence and Draconics, and they're both great. And it was we did it with video on, and it was where I realized, like, there's a part where it's like we came out of narration, and one of them like signaled with their hands to the camera, like, I'm going to jump into this first, basically, like imply like I have a thing, and then like, or like someone will point, like, it's like, go ahead. And I realized, like, man, we sure are communicating a lot without our words and are not interrupting each other as much as we are on Skulltenders. And that was kind of when I realized, like, oh yeah, we got to get these on. We got to, like, it's worth it. Even though, like, it's an adjustment, it's definitely worth it. And it has been. I think, like, we do the next season is all with the cameras on. And I think you can tell that, like, we can take bigger swings when we can see each other to agree. Like, there's, like, we're less afraid to take, like, certain, like, more emotional swings or like character moments and stuff, and we can see each other enough to like communicate non-verbally what we need to make happen verbally in the show.
I do want to clarify, it was like, for me personally, and all that is very valid, and I accept, and I agree. Yeah, it was all that's good. I never disputed that. For me, it was a concern of this takes a lot out of me to do. Does it take like it to get into a certain headspace, and it's kind of like I kind of have to build up a head of steam to like be the DM, and facial expressions and interpreting facial expressions and modulating my own are not things that come freely for me. Those are not free actions. That is a cost. And until I got a little bit more comfortable, like, this is also my first time DMing virtually instead of being able to just like sit at a table, and like, it's like, okay, so it's that classic thing when you're trying to do a new thing as a performance, which is like, we're going to need to do enough of these that this part I've got a fucking camera with a thing hanging off the end of it that is pointing into my face, and that is coming between my two monitors, and I just, like a gun to my head, I'm just going to have to pretend that this is not happening and this is normal. And it's like, and then seeing you guys on a slide, all of that just took time for me to get used to. And I'm glad we're doing it now. It's what a treat. Yeah. And I get to see you guys laughing at my jokes. And that was the big sell.
Yeah, right. Honestly, like it's incredibly edifying to physically see people laughing at the dumb shit you say. I also feel like this is good future proofing, because like, what if we want to do live shows in the future and stuff like that?
Which we may.
Training.
Yeah, it's just good for show rapport too, to see each other's faces, and it's like, I see my friends laugh at my joke. We've all gotten +1 reputation with each other now.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, now with our video cameras on, finally, we can move on to the public questions.
That was a public question.
Oh, okay.
That was a good segue, though.
Sorry.
That was a good segue.
That was a great segue.
I forgot Honey Baked was the first one.
It's all good.
This next one is from Boy Paws, from public, from a DM on Twitter. That's right. That's what it's called.
That's correct.
Well, hi there, Skulltenders. He says, it is my sincere privilege.
Skulltenders. Yeah.
It is my sincere privilege to regret to announce your public execution for crimes too heinous to list out loud. You know what you did.
Oh, man, I redact my well hi.
As one final act of mortal mercy, our finest chef is on standby. What are your final meals?
Now, this was to the Skulltenders, so I'm thinking these are going to have to be in character.
In
questions.
character.
Okay.
Visk is going to want that same damn nacho.
Nacho fed by the mayor.
Yeah. That exact same
nacho fed to you by the mayor. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, a bucket of fried mice would just hit the spot. Just like a big red and white striped bucket, bunch of fried mice, just
from KFM. KMFDM.
Yeah.
Bucket of fried mice. Okay.
I think Felicity's would be like like some sort of like expertly prepared sushi dinner, something that she can pretend is an elegant way to go out.
They just give you store-bought.
But she's actually secretly kind of trashy, so the drink would probably be the bottle of laudanum that Hazel offers her some of.
Forgot.
We gotta wash down those Mike with a big Boohoo Blast. My favorite morning dove flavor, Boohoo Blast.
Cherry Scourge.
It's called Boohoo Blast Underground. Yeah.
I don't think the other characters eat. My characters eat. Slipped in my voice.
Fair enough.
Somebody though. I'm like, what do I not want to say?
Hazel. Hazel's pretty chill. Yeah.
Hazel would like a meal with like a lot of vegetables. Like a lot of well-made vegetable side dishes, because Hazel is from a community where he's tend to have like one or two foods available. Hazel would like a wide variety on the way out, I think. But it's also sad to think about because he's like 15.
Yeah, and the guards might not even do it.
Well, he's consider what he did based on the question.
Yeah, and the guards might not even do it. They might just give you like some fucking frozen vegetables from the store.
Mm. I wouldn't want to play their little game personally. If this was just like a me question, and it's like, we're giving you a last meal. It's like,
don't feed me.
It's like, why don't you choke on it? Like, I'm not giving you trivia. Nothing is gonna taste good to me. Everything is, it's like, well, that's the first bite I'll ever have.
Come on, we all know what your last meal would be.
I would not have, okay. No.
We know.
You eat the same thing
every fucking Friday
before every Skulltenders recording.
I am sustained on it. So every Friday if we're going to record Skulltenders on Sunday, I spend most of Friday evening and Saturday and like all of Saturday and most of Sunday working on it. So like on Friday night, I get myself a pizza. Maybe you might have this place in your neighborhood. It's called Domino's. It's real good. They let you adjust.
Niche little place. Yeah.
They've been often imitated. But they let you adjust how much cheese and sauce. So I get light cheese, light sauce. Then I go in and I'm like, I need a high note of oil to counterbalance. So I get some olives. I get black olives. I'm going to go ahead and get triple of those. I'm going to get green olives. Same thing. It's also light crust. I want to hammer that home. This is also a crunchy, thin crust.
Ugh.
That's what to do.
You're not gonna be able to hear it in the final recording because we're gonna have to cut it for audio reasons. But the rest of us are all making like damage over time poison sounds while Cohen says this.
I secretly call this the bastard's bruschetta. This is the fucked up thing you have described here.
Oh, I'd love that.
Yeah, continue, Cohen. Stick the landing on this.
The last time I had Domino's, I had the worst stomach ache of my life. And I could barely go to sleep. So I don't do Domino's anymore.
You should try the olives.
You should do triple olives, yeah.
Maybe I'll use any of the 5 other pizza places in this fucking town.
So is there only 3 types of olives? Wow, they're holding out on you.
There's only 2 types. Green olives and black olives. Only 2. But I do triple of both.
There's red olives too.
Yes.
Red olives exist.
Those are
What are you
grapes.
talking? Red olives?
Don't they? There's red olives, aren't there?
What?
Yeah, I think they like do more damage and have more health.
Yeah, they staunch bleeding.
Oh, those are okay. I was not familiar with Serignola olives. This sounds like Italian stuff.
There you go.
Everyone balking at the Italian and on this fucking call.
This Italian stuff.
That's what we're supposed to do at Italians.
Yeah, I was gonna say just like hatched out of an olive. Like what are you trying to tell Jess what kind of olives there are?
Don't you gaslight me about olives.
I'll tell you what, they ain't got them bitches in Domino's. That's what they need to do.
They're not fancy.
If you want to put red olives on the map, they need to get it in gear and show up in the drop-down menu of Domino's.ca.
Everyone petition your local Domino's to get red olives.
They don't have green olives in America. I was so excited when I moved up here. They got rid of the green olives at Domino's. I could only get triple black olives, but now I'm back. It is not cheap. Because they do charge it as a bunch of different toppings.
How steep is this pizza at the end of the day?
It's not.
How steep's are we talking?
Well, the thing is, it is my food for the rest of the weekend.
Yes, but still, my question stands: is this a $50 pizza? Is what I'm asking.
No, that's absurd.
Okay.
I
please, it's $45. Please.
It's only $49.99.
It ends. I tip pretty well, so it ends up being whatever. I don't know. Who cares?
I remember you saying first time I met you in person at PAX, you were saying that you went to pick it up in person one time because you had a coupon, and as you left, you heard the employee say, "That's the guy who gets the pizza."
So I went. So I got a free pizza for. I got a coupon. I got a coupon for a free pizza, but I had to go pick it up. So I go in and I pick it up, and the guy, I'm like, "Hey, I ordered this. That's part of the coupon. It couldn't be a delivery." And his face, because at this point I've been ordering this like every Friday night for months, and just like looking up at me, just like, oh, I don't know what he could have imagined, but it's like I'm pretty neutral, I think, if I'm the person who's coming and ordering a delicious. Anyway, all of
so you're the olive pervert. You're the face I can put to this horrific food crime.
You could I could tell he was resisting saying something to me directly or to ask a question, but
they still want their tip.
Yeah, I highly recommend.
Cohen, it is your turn to ask this next question.
It is my turn. Hey, Skulltenders. Hi, Skulltenders. This is from Brian. Hello, Brian. Thank you for your DM. He asks, hello... No, it's still hi. Hi, Skulltenders. I'm a big fan of the little theme song that is played at the start of every episode. I was wondering if the little snippet we hear is all there is of the song, if there's more to it. Then do you ever plan on releasing the song in its entirety? Keep up the good work with regards to this podcast. The answer is yes. The song exists in its full form and is on Spotify. And I think Bandcamp as well.
Yeah.
Is it under Seth Boyer?
Seth Boyer. Yeah, it's on Seth Boyer's Bandcamp.
Yeah.
I think it's on Spotify too.
Look for Seth Boyer on Spotify. I hope that's
If
right.
you search Heavy as the Head theme from Skulltenders, you will also find it.
Yeah, that's the name of that song, Heavy as the Head.
I'm also half convinced that we do play the full song in the very first episode.
We do, I believe.
We do, yes.
That is the full version of the song.
But yeah, it can be purchased right now on Bandcamp. Goes to just look for sethboyer.bandcamp.com. Heavy as the Head is the name of the track if you want to find it elsewhere. Spotify.
I'll make sure the link. I'll put a link in the show notes for this one.
Nice.
All right. Amber, you're the next one from A Meat.
All right. A Meat sent a question via email and says, if your characters, parentheses, or you personally, whatever you prefer, won the race for stewardship of the afterlife, what would your theme be for the afterlife? Also, what weird arbitrary rule would you add to all future afterlives? And then there's a second question, which is specifically at Cohen. Did the mayor have to pick Planchette as his running mate, or did he appoint her after he seized power? And does the Queen of Hell have a running mate?
Those both seem like lore questions that'll be answered at better times than now.
The second
juicy
ones?
times.
Yeah.
The second two, the last two, I feel like those are just like spoilers for something.
I
cool
will say
in the
that for the
future.
second two, that is certainly an interesting question. I will say that they have a complicated relationship, but I will kick it back to y'all.
What would the theme of the afterlife be?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what would the vibe of your afterlife be? You've seen mine, which is Epcot.
Mm-hmm.
Have I mentioned that the mayor is just Daniel Plainview plus Walt Disney on the Epcot pitch on like the hour long?
Yeah, but not in public.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the mayor is based on this is good. Instead of the answer to the question you asked for, or the question for the others, I'm going to jump ahead with an unrelated answer. Yeah, the mayor is largely based on Daniel Plainview, the character from There Will Be Blood. Our boy Daniel Day-Lewis.
I'm an oil man. Welcome to my oil factory. Welcome to my strange afterlife.
Combined with specifically Walt Disney in the pitch video for Epcot. When he's like, a city of tomorrow. When he's like, but I can't really do a Walt voice. And also I was like,
tomorrow.
Yeah, this also is just going to be like, well, that's just a 1-to-1. That's not as fun.
Mm.
But, what would y'all's vibes and zones be?
Do you remember the opening scene to Blade where they're in like the dark electronica club?
Blood Rave?
Yeah,
Blade.
like that. That would be the whole thing. That would be the whole shtick. And I think Felicity would probably also have a reincarnation-based afterlife, but I think it would perhaps not involve losing all of your memories. Whether or not this is a good idea is a separate question, but that's probably how she would want it to be.
Oh, you'll end up like the Eternals. You'll get the Mad Weary. Anybody else? Eternals heads. Like I can hear crickets across the country. last gasp of me. I watch these movies.
What the hell was it called in Super Mario Brothers movie 93? New Dino City?
Dino Hatton, bitch.
Yeah.
You're asking the perfect person.
I know.
Guess what's shipping from Australia right now? And I got an email about it. The fucking Blu-ray. Bam, bam, bam. Hang on a second.
There you go. Dino Hatton. That would Doo-Doo wouldn't turn into that.
That's what Jess would turn it into. Doo-Doo and Jess have the same answer.
Okay, fine. Doo-Doo would turn it into fucking cheeseburgers.
No,
in
we can
paradise.
have the same answer.
Yeah.
Okay. It was either that
Minneapolis.
or
Minneapolis.
or cheeseburgers in paradise. Like one of those fucking restaurants.
I could see all Margaritaville town.
Yeah.
A sprawling Margaritaville.
There are no Margaritasvilles in the Mayor's Afterlife because they're all successful.
Well, yeah, of course not. There wouldn't be any. And when they are destroyed, they have no regrets.
Yeah.
I literally went to a Cheeseburgers in Paradise not knowing it was Jimmy Buffett themed. And I was just like with my parents and friends and family. And I was just like, what the fuck is his name? Is it Jimmy Buffett? And they're like, yes.
Casey's just like, Cheeseburgers in Paradise, two of my favorite things.
Wait, does he have two restaurants? Does he have Margaritaville and Cheeseburger in Paradise?
Yes. I went to one in Oklahoma with I was visiting my family. Okay. Yes, I have to go to this.
Yeah, you traveled all the way there for it.
Yeah.
I don't even know anyone there.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's
Amber, you asked that last one, so Jess.
Also, I specifically did not say what Visks would be because I don't even think Visk knows. I don't know what
Visks would be the Mayor's Afterlife.
Yeah, I think it would be the same.
no notes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
They don't have a sense of imagination right now, so I don't think they have any aspirational dreams of something like that. Yeah.
You would be like, who's the guy they brought back at Disney? Who's like the guy that they got rid of and they brought him back? The guy who just buys shit?
Bob Iger?
Yeah, you would be like Bob Iger. You would be the Bob Iger of Disney, of the afterlife. Yeah. I'm just going to do what the last guy did.
I'm going to ruin the fast pass system.
What a scourge. Jess, I believe you.
Oh, it's my turn. Emily K, who is a permanent resident but still used the email. Damn it, that's not it. I have it on 2 buttons. What's wrong with me?
Permanent resident.
Stay a while and ask.
Anyway, hi, darlings. Hope you're all sauced up after a great first season. What do you think? What do you each think was the big moment for your characters this season? What made you say, "Oh shit, turning point for me in this character"? And how much did the ball cupping theme play into it?
It wasn't for my character, but I'll admit when I heard the final ball cupping theme, I was like, wow, we sure are a real ass show, huh?
We're cooking now.
I was like, damn, we are cooking, yeah.
I definitely think it was the dream I had where all the birds
Oh yeah.
were like telling me to do better. Do better.
I'm glad you liked that. That was fun. I was taking a risk there. Thank you for.
No, it seriously was like my character and all that stuff. I didn't really take as seriously because, like, yeah, we could die and it would be fine. And then you gave me some stakes, and I was like, okay. And then the Dylan apocalypse, the pickle apocalypse happened, and I was truly like kind of stuck. Like, I don't know what to fucking do.
How do I keep this vulture alive?
Yeah, I mean, I could just die and it'll be fine. But now that I have a goal, I should do something.
I also, it's not like it's a quiet turning point, I guess, but for Doo-Doo, like having an aside with Fisk during High Noon where like he's clearly like scared that Fisk is changing as a person for the worst and it's just like, follow your heart or whatever. And it's like, oh, like Doo-Doo has this like little wise secret side that he doesn't like, have in the forefront. It's like, oh, that's like more complex than like I think we've seen Doo-Doo mostly be.
Yeah, the one that revealed that for me for Doo-Doo was when the mayor's like, oh, we seem to have come to a stalemate. And Doo-Doo goes, well, so, and what are we, your pawns?
Yeah, it was good.
Pawns and
damn, that was really good. That was really quick.
I was like, I'm glad I have a thing prepared to disrupt this scene. I'm glad I was waiting to do that. Haha.
I think that for my own for Felicity, I guess there's 2 of them. There's one for like individual character, and I guess me as a performer, which is the second part of High Noon, because it was my first episode where it was like, I'm going to grab the reins of how this episode is going to play out, because I had the plan to fight Scarlet. I had the bomb and I had all that, and that like was really very cool. That was like my first like, I am feeling very confident as an improviser, and that's a thing that has carried throughout. That and the argument that leads into the reveal of syrup.
Yeah.
Which was like our first big DM is not really there heavily character interaction scene. Felt really good. And that felt really like it was like a moment where I felt very strongly like we are all really inhabiting our characters right now.
Yeah. That was, like, Graveyard Shift had two different like arguments between the three of us that was like that didn't feel like there was a timer on it, but we all let the scene like play out, and it's just like, here's the end of it. And then it got interrupted by Syrup, the second one, but it's like, that's the perfect place to interrupt this. Yeah. This makes sense.
That sort of similar thing happened in the next one. In what is the name of it? Happy Hour. The one you guys are starting, it's at the start when you guys have like a lot of time to walk around. I literally just put like, okay, I'm just gonna describe the things they're walking past, but that is the only involvement in this scene I'm gonna have. Like, because the original was like, the mayor will be right there. I was like, no, I like that thing in Graveyard Shift where they were all roaring about it.
I like when we're trusted to just like carry a scene with the three characters. That's like always really, really fun. I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's quite rewarding as a performer too. Especially like for us, where it's like we are all experienced being funny long before this. Like, we're all kind of like real life clowns, but we weren't like people with heavy experience in tabletop. And it was really cool to get to the point where it's like, I feel like we all are kind of really able to live in our characters in a way I don't think that we would have had the confidence to do when we started initially. That was very cool.
And Visk keeps having big moments, so don't make me choose. I'm very lucky. I'm very spoiled in this regard.
Yeah, Visk is so essential to the way the world works because of like their species.
Yeah, unbeknownst to me that my species would be so important to the layout of things. Like, oops, big things keep happening. Like, threatening Hazel was huge. I didn't know it would be that huge. I thought like, oh, here's a fun thing to do that I think would be a fun monkey wrench. Fucking shooting Nokia was a big like, shit, what would be the most interesting thing to do right now sort of moment. Even though I'm just like, I know it's a mistake. Like, in my head, I'm just like, oh, that's a bad idea, but sure would be interesting if it happened. And like, I'm just kind of going about role playing it with that kind of idea in my mind.
You didn't really have, it wasn't like there was like an obvious good thing to do there.
No, yeah, but it just felt like that's clearly not. That one clearly is obviously not good. Like, there's still like a part of you that's still trying to like scramble for a nicer answer than shooting a kid.
I think that sometimes stories are good or better. So like some of this like comes a little bit about like giving you guys more time. A lot of something you might be hearing in the early episodes is me adapting from being a video game writer to doing whatever this is, DMing and game master, and which is you do not really necessarily leave space when you are doing a game for like, and here's where the player will talk to themselves and make their own fun for a while. Like, well, maybe you do, but maybe if you're better than me, you do that or worse. I'll leave that up to you. But you guys make such a strong case for it. It was like, all right, I really got to leave space that isn't just like giving you prompts to react to, but also just like letting y'all react to each other. And that is I would say that is my big growth as the DM. Like that's my big moment is learning to shut up for a while. I'll let y'all kind of I have a fear of like not doing enough. It's something that comes from playing in like smaller private games, is where it's like, oh, I am very much the thing that is keeping things running, and like almost to the point of like being a I don't know. Soundboard. I'm rambling a little bit. But
I think I know what you like. It's like when you play home games where people who are maybe like more video game people are not like doing a creative project together. There's a lot more of like, I do my attack, turn to Cohen for flavor.
Yeah.
As opposed to on the show where it's like everybody, as it's gone on, has handled a lot more of their the flavor way in which they operate and kind of just look to you for result.
Yeah,
the point where even like we cut it obviously because like we tighten the show up to sound like a nice little radio drama, but like there'd be times where it'd be like we'll both kind of start like, are you gonna take the flavor on this one, or am I?
Yeah. And my preference is to always let y'all do it if you have something, because that's easier for me. Mm-hmm. And like ultimately, the only way to do this in a long enough time is to find the places where you can save effort.
Yeah.
Because you can spend a lot of time getting ready for a D&D session and not use a lot of what you came up with, because it's a different thing. What you got to think is that you're making prompts. not a cage.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't really scan. Whatever. It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
Sure.
Prompt's not a script. Prompt's not a script. There it is.
There you
Yeah,
go.
on a script. All right, we're coming down to the last several.
All right. Yeah.
This next one's from Paul G via email. What would it take for your character to explode in righteous indignation, and what form would it take?
Stay tuned.
I think we would simply just explode, so that's the form it would take, right? If I'm getting
Bodily?
that correctly.
yeah.
But what would
You can
cause
see
us
magic
to do
blow
that?
up.
Yeah. What would cause us to do that? Would cause the character to do that? Probably someone not liking light beer for doo-doo. What?
Yeah.
But you do that like old 70s, like when you would jokingly blow up a bird, it would just be nothing but feathers. Like they're made out of like no meat, no blood, just
Yeah.
feathers. I always thought that was very funny when I saw that in the old shows.
I think that for the rest of the party, it's like, wow, we sure do have a second season you'll enjoy.
Yeah. Stay tuned is what I can say. This is a precog sending in a question.
That's true. I mean, Felicity, you have exploded before.
Literally, yes.
Yeah, so those do, I guess.
But yeah, you will see Visk explode in righteous indignation very, very soon.
Yeah, you'll see
Oh,
how
do they
the
mean-
party handles conflict.
Do they
They
mean
don't mean literally exploding, Casey.
You see it with Felicity in Graveyard Shift. The like, if it's not such a big deal, go ahead and step over the line and show us. Is Felicity's version of that?
That's a very subtle, indignant explosion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Visk goes way, way harder than that.
she has much more reserved. Yeah,
I think I read this one too. I thought of this too literally. When I said explode, I'd be like, well, we've exploded before.
yeah,
I thought
Casey,
yeah.
you're misunderstanding the question.
Well, then it's funny.
righteous indignation, like the name of a Rude Tales NPC.
Ah, yes, my name is Righteous Indignation.
What will it take for you to explode with your dear friend?
A bomb.
Yeah, that'll do it. Bomb by the heart. It's a good question. I think that we are, definitely y'all are getting pushed more towards those as things are rolling along. I liked when Doodoo pulled out a stick, used conch as a weapon for the first time ever in like a very specific way in High Noon to like stop to like protect somebody. It was a nice moment. It was
Nice
that's the thing.
Fever pitch for the character. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Good
was
stuff.
righteously indignated.
Mm-hmm.
Big Mac asks via email, "What size shoe does Doodoo wear?"
13.
Wow.
He's a big boy. He's got big feet.
Damn. No, yeah, real big boy. No kidding.
Nice specific question
Yeah.
and specific answer.
Should I
Yeah.
go ahead and post feet? Me? Because that is my shoe size also. My
Me
Crocs
too.
my Crocs are size 13.
Casey, that's a higher Patreon tier than we're prepared to provide content for.
That's the $1,000 tier. Yeah.
That's $1,000 tier. You get doo-doo feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get the cloaca and you get the feet.
Now people are really going to be like, you're copying Rude Tales of Magic. You can't do that
so
because
what?
that's one of the fucking tiers.
Oh, then never mind.
One of the tiers on Rude Tales' thing is Bellows feet. Yes.
When we were initially talking about the show, and like I interviewed a couple different people who are already in the space. Obviously, one of the ones I talked to was Branson Reese, and he told us that, and he straight up was like, "Yeah, you can steal that if you want."
Yeah.
So I have clearance.
Branson's fucking cool. That was a cool guy.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah,
good guy.
Branson's great. What an angel.
Yes. And what a great segue into the next question.
Yes, our last question. Well, 2.
Yeah, Bex K via email asks, "What are your strongest podcasting influences?" And second question, what is the meanest D&D puzzle you've ever seen? Starting with the first one, what are your strongest podcasting influences? I thought about this ahead of time because I read the questions and was like, I'm going to be professional, read the questions ahead of time for the public Skulltalkers. I thought about this one and like what led me to be like to try to get everybody together and do Skulltenders. And it's like probably like it's like the Acquisitions Incorporated live shows was my first exposure to the idea that D&D could be like a performance that other people enjoy. And then from there, Adventure Zone came out. And I was like, oh, this is really funny and engaging, and I'm really enjoying following this on a regular basis. And then there was some downtime where there wasn't a D&D podcast I was following. I got really into an improv podcast called Mission to Zix. And Mission to Zix is like, the world is entirely made up. It is unlike most the previous things I consumed, which are already based in like the D&D source books and whatnot. It was an entirely new world that they were creating. And the idea of like, oh, you can create an audio show improv-based audio comedy show that has a world that I'm getting engaged with was put into my head there. And then Rude Tales of Magic came out and sort of synthesized those two concepts I already had, which was like, you can make a D&D piece of media that's really fun, and you can create a media that has its own original world, and people will engage with it and get really into it. And I think that was kind of the final push there. I was like, I think we're going to make this happen. I reached out to some people to make this happen.
Yeah.
Huzzah.
I mean, yes, definitely way, way, way back when, like when 4th edition both dropped, first dropped those Penny Arcade Acquisition Incorporated podcasts, which was just Chris Perkins, I want to say, just doing doing the original, just like running them through. Here's what 4th edition Dungeons and Dragons is. And it was like a really great introduction to like, okay. Maybe one day I will get to play this. And I think I played 4th edition like twice.
Yeah. Some of those were a real treat. I still think about the one where they go to the dark magic estate and there's the guy who has fey blindness, which he claims is a condition that makes it so you can't see elves.
That's pretty good.
Like one of the party members is an elf. It's really good.
But also, obviously, Rude Tales, huge. They're doing really good stuff. Really, I love it. Branson's so funny. Carly, Chris, Allie, Joe, and Tim, and Kodiak on the audio these days, and some other folks. Some great.
I think Sam Grant is somebody too.
Yes, there you go. Just they're like the vibe that it's like this can matter without being self-important. This like things in the universe can be important without the show itself becoming self-important. And that's like an unkind thing to level at like any piece of art. Self-importance is like, it's one of those things like pretentious, or it's like, what do you really mean when you're saying this?
Yeah, exactly.
Are you mad that somebody cares? But I feel like there are versions of me trying to DM this show that take some stuff that are a lot more stringent. And luckily that stuff I got out at private games. So with this, it's like, no, we're having fun. Who else is really good podcast? Anime Sickos, those guys are funny. We love them. They're funny.
But we're talking about influences, not really just good podcasts. I like Anime Sickos as well, but I didn't really get influenced by them as much as like, yes, Adventure Zone was really big. That was about when like D&D was becoming a little mainstream. Like there was the Community episode about it. The IT Crowd did one that I was like, oh, okay, this is fun. This is interesting. That's what kind of got me interested. And for improv stuff, I really, Amber, you maybe remember the show Super Ego.
I do.
Yeah, that one I really liked. Whenever I heard that, I would listen to that when I would go across country to see family. Super Ego was so funny.
Adventure Zone for me too. Sorry, yeah, I should have mentioned that too. Balance Arc was like pretty foundational for like, oh wow, you can do really good stuff with music. And
yeah,
that was a tight little thing those boys made.
Mm-hmm. I am the sole person, perhaps on Earth, in nerd circles that has not been exposed much to the McElroy's podcast emporium. But no real reason. I don't know. But I'm simply somebody who has been on more podcasts than they've listened to, which is fucked up. And it is simply because I have a brain that does not allow me to do two things at once in that way. And also, I don't have a big commute. If I commuted a lot places, like, sure, I'd be into a lot more podcasts.
That's when I got really into Adventure Zone, is I had to walk to a mile and a half to work. And I was like, well, I'll just listen to the podcast. And
100%.
so I ripped through it.
I would let a lot of podcasts I was listening to build up. And then when I went on my long drives to visit family in Oklahoma from Massachusetts, boy, oh boy, would I catch up on a lot of things.
But yeah, I just don't have a lot of commutes, so I don't listen to a lot of podcasts. And that's really the only like thing I can multitask if I'm listening to a podcast is driving. I cannot do anything else. So when I say I'm a big fan of Rude Tales of Magic and of those Stars of Space, I hope you realize how insane that statement is, because I'm saying they are worth staring at a wall for.
Do you just sit there like
You and Cohen both do this, and it's wild to me.
I can't do shit.
I make a whole thing out of Rose Tales. I sit and listen to it. Yeah. I walk a lot.
I can't scroll my phone. I can't draw. That's insane. I'm an artist too.
you can't even play like Binding of Isaac, like a boring, not a boring.
That's
but
what
like,
I do. I play Dungeon Crawl and I'm
Yeah.
listening
I
back to
can't.
our episodes.
My goodness,
I can't. I realize I'm paying too much attention to the game, and I haven't heard the last like 15 minutes of whatever
right
was
there with
happening
you.
whatsoever. I cannot.
Interesting.
There's something autistically going on in here.
Yep.
that
It's an audio. It's literally audio processing.
It's audio processing.
Hundreds of hours of Binding of Isaac were spent listening to a podcast or a YouTube thing or something.
All of my hundreds of hours in Binding of Isaac were spent in rapt attention to Binding of Isaac, like a sicko.
I don't really
Lord.
I don't really play games while I do other things either. I don't really.
Yeah,
I
I just
can't
need
really-
something to do with my hands for like ADHD reasons. If I'm going to focus on something
Binding of
audio-wise.
Isaac. Any
So when we
roguelike.
were first recording Skulltenders because I want to listen back to the episodes, especially early on, to make sure they're consistent. I beat the entirety of Quest 64 for the N64.
Oh, right, that's right. Yeah.
Because there's almost no game there. There's just mechanics.
Yeah, it's true.
Perfect.
But yeah, those are the two big podcasts that I have listened to, do listen to, continue to give a big shit about is Oh These Those Stars of Space and Rude Tales of Magic. And Rude Tales of Magic was also my COVID hyperfixation. So that led me to where I am today. And clearly my editing style is extremely inspired by Taylor Moore's editing style, and an extension Kodiak, Sanders, and Sam Grant going into the future. But Taylor Moore, respect, laid down the groundwork for a standard that I was like, oh shit, it can sound this good? Oh, dope. I'll do that.
It's really a testament to having how useful it is to have a really engaged part of the team audio editor. Like, it really does make a difference, because the amount of time an audio editor has to put in, they should just be like that. You got to consider that person a member. Like,
Yeah.
Get yourself autistic fans. That's the big podcast advice. Get you some hyperfixating fans, and you are it's smooth sailing.
As long as you don't disappoint them.
Yes, never
That's
break my heart.
That's you got the tiger by the tail.
I'll kill you.
I have an answer for the. Sorry, we're still going influences.
No,
Oh no, that's right. The meanest D&D puzzle you've ever seen.
Oh, that's right.
It's probably just Mouth of the Green Demon from Tomb of Horrors. There's a sphere of annihilation embedded in the wall early in the Tomb of Horrors that it just looks like a hole in the wall, and if you go into it, it instantly annihilates anything that goes into it. You'll lose limbs. It can kill your character instantly with no saving throw. But most importantly about that is that there is a place later where you can get teleported, and you get teleported out of an invisible portal that is directly in front of the Green Demon, suggesting to you that you've come out of that mouth, implying you should go back into it to get back.
No,
That is the most cruel
No.
and unusual puzzle I've ever heard. Is Gary Gygax's
Fuck off.
own Tomb of Horrors Mouth of the Green Demon.
That's
There
not a
wasn't-
puzzle.
Well, it was a
Scary.
different. It was a different era. Your characters weren't really characters. You were basically they were like there was like you would often have like be controlling multiple characters.
You had like a squad back then.
Yeah, because that was just how it was. And so it's like there were these modules that are basically like DMs were like nothing is a challenge because the game doesn't scale. It was first edition. Like nothing was like a challenge. So it was like I need something to challenge my players. He was like, I got something. I have this puzzle that I made that I could tell you guys about that I made for a private game. The way it works is it's a hallway. It's like a long hallway with a door at the end, and there are arrow traps on the tiles making up most of the hallway, and those arrow traps form an arrow that is pointing at a space on the wall. So when you step on it, you get shot with an arrow, and then if you're tracking that. But also, so that gets your attention. As you're coming down the hall first, an illusory, a log comes at you, like a stone log rolls toward you. It is an illusion, and when they jump to avoid it, the ceiling is actually only 6 feet high, but there's an illusion that it's a 10-foot high ceiling, so when they jump to avoid the log, they will hit their head on the ceiling. Then they will discover it is actually a fake log. Then another log comes, and that one's real. That one's real, and so if they just try to let it hit them, it will knock them down.
Is this a puzzle or is this Cohen being a scotch?
I'm not done. Then there is...
Those are kind of similar in DM world. But go on.
Then so those are just the two logs. And if you figure out the arrow thing, you see where it's pointing at and look at it. There is a spot on the wall, very small, that reads caution. And then when they read it, it drops a log. It drops a third log directly on top of their head.
Is that a puzzle?
It's like Sen's Fortress. Good God.
How is anyone supposed to solve that?
What part of that is a puzzle, my man?
It's asked for meanest puzzle, not best designed puzzle. It's
not even a puzzle. It's just a gauntlet of bullshit.
It is. The puzzle is to get down there with avoiding.
It's just a trap.
Yeah, that's all.
My question is the second log that's real in its path toward the players. It's rolling over those tiles, right? Does it trigger the arrows going off?
No, they have to be stepped on individually.
That is bullshit. That is fucking bullshit. That's 100% bullshit.
Plate. It's distributed.
I would have left the table. I would have took my things and left.
The thing was, I did this dungeon. The dungeon was full of stuff like that, but it wasn't it wasn't what the game was normally like. Like there was I had a gargoyle statue, and there was an illusion. There wasn't actually a gargoyle statue; it was just an illusion. But there was real fire coming out of it from behind the statue, just like a bunch of bullshit. It's just fun. You can just.
It's very Tomb of Horrors type stuff.
Yeah,
honestly.
That's what I was doing.
Bullshit.
I was going for something like that just for fun.
Going for mean stuff. I haven't played enough D&D, so I don't have a real answer, but I did used to work at an escape room for quite a time, for like 3 years, and I've done a bunch of unfair escape rooms, so I will tell you an unfair escape room puzzle that I did. It was in a room that was full of typos, to begin with. The typos did not mean anything.
That's the meanest thing in the world for like an escape room.
Even the name of the room was misspelled. It was called the Ancient Pyramid, and it was spelt with an I instead of a Y.
Oh, and it doesn't mean anything?
Yeah.
No, it's just misspelled. So I was like, we're doing this room because it's going to be a fucking travesty if the name is misspelled. So you get into this room and it is pitch fucking dark. We have I want to say 6 people and 2 lanterns that the batteries are dying in. You cannot see fucking anything. The reason you can't see anything is because the room looked like fucking shit. But there was a puzzle where you were supposed to, an alien was telling you to fill the black hole with photons.
So light.
Fill the black hole with photons. And you keep on yelling at us. It's like, bitch, we're trying. This shit sucks. Like, this is not capable of lighting into this thing that is clearly the thing that is triggered by a light. So I just took out my fucking cell phone and shone my cell phone into it, and it fucking worked. Make your escape rooms work. Bullshit. There was also there was a rule where you should not be climbing on anything, and there was a fucking ladder in the room. So I'm like having an autistic dilemma, being like, but the rules said I'm not supposed to. No!
If you're autistic, do you have to climb ladders?
Yeah, they're compelled to.
The rules said don't do it, but there's a ladder here. And I'm like, but they said not to. Are they fucking with... It was like a whole...
Jess is still on the level of autism where she expects the world to make sense and is frustrated. I have transcended to knowing that nothing is real. Mm-hmm. All is absurd. Death is the only escape. Yes.
I'm looking forward to that stage.
That's the final stage, is death is the only escape? Good God.
It's the final escape for us all.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. You should make a podcast about that.
Yeah, that's sort of I don't know if you heard the first episode.
But then I'll be autistic in hell. That sucks.
You should make a podcast about that.
You won't have any time to be autistic in hell. You'll be being tortured. The meanest D&D puzzle I saw was the one Cohen just said. But the real answer is probably from Elden Ring, any of the fucking little caves. I didn't play a lot of D&D.
That's what it was inspired by. I was playing Elden Ring at the time. I was like, it was just an Elden Ring style puzzle.
There was specifically one that had like multiple, that would transport you, because they didn't have mimics in Elden Ring, I don't think, but they had trapped chests. And one put you into a map of a cave that was the exact same map as the one you were just in, but with little things change. So it was like a little double maze. You had to be like, well, which one takes me to the right path? And that one took me fucking a lot longer than I thought. That was the meanest one.
Motherfuckers.
Yeah. And then And they really were playing up the fact that it all kind of looked the same, too. That was like,
they were doing it to fuck with you. It's
that was
funny.
very brilliant, I thought, compared to like the randomly generated Bloodborne dungeons that was complete afterthought for them.
Oh God, there's the procedurally generated ones. Ew,
Mhm,
they were awful.
Yeah, I think the dungeons in Elden Ring, or the caves or whatever they're called, were like a perfect like version of what they were trying to like tell us. Like, yeah, these are just fun little puzzle areas. They suck. Fuck you.
Should do a jawbone about worst and best dungeons in games.
Oh, that would be good.
That's a good one.
But for now, I think we are wrapped up on our public Skull Talkers.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for all your questions. Thank you to frankly, thank you to everybody who's listening right now, like who has hopped on early, has posted about or made fan art or talked about the show, referred it to your friends. It's just been really great to see the groundswell of people engaging with it. It's incredibly rewarding when you make something and people really resonate with it.
Thank you, folks.
Yeah, I'm gonna say if you feel the spirit moving within you to leave a review for the show, even if it's just the stars, you ain't got to do words. All those are nice. If you want to tell your friends about it, we would much appreciate it. I don't know if you notice, but the internet doesn't really work anymore. So if you feel like letting people know,
It's a little busted.
it's much appreciated. The retweets, the telling your friends, because people listen to their friends. Tell the people in your life. Yeah,
That's how podcasts grow.
Word of mouth is good.
More important than ever is word of mouth in this broken fucking internet.
True.
So
Absolutely.
yes, please freely and sassily even talk about the show wherever you feel you feel the urge to. Make forum threads or forums back. That'd be cool.
Some forums.
Yeah, that'd be so cool.
come join us on the Discord if you're not.
Yeah, I was going to say, or, if you like this, if you've enjoyed this, we do this every other week on our Patreon. And signing up for the Patreon also gets you access to our Discord, so you can communicate with other people in the community, and we're also all on there hanging out.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a good time.
I want to say thank you so much to everybody.
Yeah.
It's just been it's been an absolute treat of a creative project to be part of, and I'm very excited for the second season, which will be on March 6th, I believe.
Ought to be.
Yeah, there we go. All
Unless
right.
something fucked up happens.
Yes.
And shouts out to Seth. Couldn't be here, but he's our he's our forever fifth member of the crew,
Yes.
Irreplaceable.
of the DK crew.
Yeah.
Folks, that'll do it for this Skulltenders public episode. We'll see you next end of season, I guess, for another one. Otherwise, join our Patreon and follow us on Skulltenders. Follow us on whatever social media.
Yeah.
That's patreon.com/Skulltenders. We're out. Bye.
Much love.
Much love to you.
Bye.
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 Well, bye.